Hi, my name is Beth Bannister, and I was part of the Wild Edible 3-week class. And thank you so much to all the instructors. I learned a lot, especially a bunch of new recipes and things I'm excited to try. Today I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite wild edibles, which is lamb's quarters. Growing up, I learned a few wild edibles from my mom, actually, who taught, a lot of the berries and stuff, but also cowslips, she called them, which is marsh marigolds, and we learned how to cook them in 3 doses of water, which I'm not sure is completely necessary, but we did it and they were safe to eat and yummy and spinachy. And then when I was in my 20s, I was living at a retreat center and we did a lot of weeding in the garden and found a bunch of wild edibles. And one of my favorites definitely is lamb's quarters. Um, the sources that I'm using to identify it, I guess I've known it for a long time. So it's kind of that thing of like, I don't know how I know what it is. I just do. But um, I did some research and the books that I use a lot, I love these two edible wild plants. I don't know if you can see them in reverse, but Newcomb's Wildflower Guide, I love. And then a friend gave me in the past year this great book, Foraging and Feasting, a field guide to wild food cookbook, a field guide and wild food cookbook. So I love the pictures in this book. There's some amazing, great photo or drawings of a lot of plants. And my other favorite part about this book is they have a seasonal harvest chart. So you can go through and kind of look through, oh, it's early to early-ish summer. So what is out there right now? And you can kind of go through and see, which is pretty fun. Anyway, back to lamb's quarters. I talk a little bit about lamb's quarters, the history of it. Apparently, lamb's quarters are in many places in the world, including the US and Canada, South America, Central America, also many countries in Africa, the Middle East, Europe, several Asian countries, very common in India, Australia, and New Zealand. And I guess there were some archaeological studies fairly recently showing that the seeds were stored and used by the American Blackfoot Indians during the 16th century. So people have been eating the lamb's quarters for a long time. The Latin name for lamb's quarters is Chenopodium album, which I'm not sure I'm saying that correctly, but it is in the Amaranthaceae family, which makes sense because I also have picked a lot of amaranth when I've been weeding in gardens as well. So the lamb's quarters really likes kind of disrupted soil, which it makes sense it would be in people's gardens. It's a purifying plant that can help restore healthy nutrients to poor quality soil. It likes full to partial sun, prefers well-drained and fertile soil, tolerates most soil though. Let's see. So I already talked about my sources. How I identified it is I did find a few flowers and I did some keying out using the Newcomb's Wildflower Guide, using the leaf descriptions. Let's see, lamb's quarter is also called pigweed. Larger leaves, egg-shaped with a broad V-shaped base, irregularly toothed, 1 to 4 inches long. The plant is erect, 1/2 inch to 6 inches high, and a very minor, actually it says 6 feet. That makes more sense. I was gonna say mine are huge. 6 feet high, very common weed of gardens and waste places. So the one of the really distinctive qualities is there's kind of a white, mealy white powder on the underside of a lot of the leaves, which makes you feel like it's like some fungus growing on it or something, but it's not. It's actually part of the plant and it's edible. So, so those are some of the ways that I've identified it. Talked a little bit about the history. Common uses, mostly I have taken the young plants, or if they're a little bit taller, I'll peel the leaves away from the stem if it gets too woody, and I've sauteed them with olive oil and sometimes a little garlic. That's one of my favorite ways of making it. People say you can also put it in soups and stews. cream it, put it in omelets, which I actually want to try, frittatas, quiche, gratin, and casseroles. The seeds you can cook, and so sometimes I let them go to seed because I want them to keep coming back in my garden, ironically. Even though I'm weeding them out, it's just more meal, and I may actually preserve some this year. But the seed you can cook. The leaf itself, they're dark greens, they're spinach-like, they're very nutritious, high in calcium, iron, beta carotene, and vitamin C. That is the dog in the background. Okay, so I'm going to take my computer outside and see if I can show some of the lamb's quarters to you. Okay, so in our little garden that's close enough to the Wi-Fi, I'm not finding a ton. My patch is a little bit too far for my computer. However, I'm finding one little bit right in here. So you can see this plant, it's got this little bit of purple, and I'm gonna pick it. Oh, there's another little piece right here. I'm gonna pick more, but as you can see, it does have, especially this bigger one, some of that white kind of powdery stuff on the underside. So I'm going to gather these and a few more, and then I'm gonna make some dinner. So here we are again. I just collected a bunch of lamb's quarters from our gardens, and there it is. I already washed it. I am going to take some of these ones with bigger stems and just peel the leaves away from the stem and just take some of those out. Otherwise, sometimes it just gets too woody and you're chewing on it for a really long time, which is fine here and there, but I think it's tastier without. So I'm going to do that. And earlier when I said I saute it with garlic, I could not do that. I was craving it after I said that out loud. So I'm going to chop up some garlic, cook it up, and then I'll show you the final result before we end this video. Okay, one more quick thing. I don't know if you can really see it, the white, it's very gritty, the white underside of some of these leaves, but it's very, very distinctive characteristic of lamb's quarters. Also showing you this as mini greens. All these are probably going to be, in my family, people could eat a lot of them, but it should feed the 2 adults and 2 children here. That's cooked down a lot, so don't be shy about collecting a lot of it and just cooking it all. One last shot of them being cooked down. They're still pretty stemmy, as you can see, but most of them are soft enough that you can chew or kind of chew around them, but definitely edible. If I did it again, I might take off more of the stems. There was a patch of brand new little bitty ones that I got a bunch of too, which are so tender. I don't know if you can smell the garlic from there, but they're so delicious. Can't wait to eat them. Okay, so a few other things before I end my talk. The foraging and feasting guide says all above ground parts are edible when tender from mid-spring to early fall. The seeding and flowering cluster, the edible single flower, and the edible immature seed and the edible mature seed. So I'm looking forward to checking out the seeds. And then edible wild plants, Peterson's says there are many similar species and most are edible. So, you know, I would take caution as any wild edible to double check your sources, but it looks like a pretty safe one. So anyway, there's lamb's quarters. I'm going to finish this video and then go eat some lamb's quarters with garlic. Thanks so much.